some pickleball.
You and me both. You ready to
Hey,
rock or
boys.
what?
Yeah, let's rock.
Snap hook version 1. I like it.
Yeah.
Where do you want to
thanks
go
for
with
that.
this, B-Rob? I think I'm just kind of I'm gonna voyeuristically just listen and watch you guys interact over the topic of golf.
Yeah, I actually do have some topics, guys.
Shocker.
Yeah.
What you got?
All right. So
Brian actually thinking. That doesn't happen very often.
for starters, good to see your faces.
You too.
So on the topic of golf, couple thoughts. PGA Tour to kick us off. Is it a good idea for the PGA Tour to have canceled tournaments at this time of COVID-19? Do you think they made a good decision to do that? I know we're all missing. This would have been Masters Week this weekend?
Yeah.
Which
that's a tough.
It's Masters weekend, but it's also my birthday. I think you meant to say it was my birthday.
When?
This weekend. Yeah. Masters weekend. The greatest day ever is Sunday of Masters, and I've been depressed for a while.
Yeah. You're 32 this year?
33 and a half.
33 and a half. Oh boy. Doing half birthdays now. Yeah. That's a good question, Brian, but I think that what my idea I'd like to see would be maybe not what's best for the game or everybody else. It would sound like every other golf fan out there, just that I'm being selfish. Of course I want it to be played. At first when this came out, I will say this, that I felt like, this is too, they're blowing it out of proportion. This is not that big of a deal. I've changed my tune on that, obviously, since. Obviously you can't have the fans there. I don't know if it would make it less interesting if the fans weren't there. I think golf can keep growing during this time, but certainly don't want to, put people's safety at risk, first. So I think they made the best decision that they feel they should have done in the interest of everybody else.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of felt the same way too. Initially, it's like, well, wait a minute here. People can be out, you're talking about players and caddies, and then the PGA Tour level, just a couple of pairings per hole. But then all of a sudden I realized that there is a ton of volunteers that come into pulling off an actual PGA Tour event. And that many of these volunteers are definitely in sort of the age range of those who would be considered high risk. They may have underlying health factors. And so definitely from even just purely from a business standpoint, if they moved on against all of the social pressure that came down on them and on every business of this kind, and if there was even, a reported illness and death as a result of that, be, pretty catastrophic.
Yeah, that'd be terrible backlash, and that's not something, any sport needs. And I think that's why most of these sports have pulled out in the way that they have.
I think it's the right call, and it would be incredibly risky to NCAA shuts down, NBA shuts down, schools shut down, everything shuts down, and then regardless of, even if you pull it off perfectly, quote unquote perfectly, there's going to be a ton of pressure to be and it's risky to just be the only event that keeps rolling forward. I think there would be a ton of backlash on that, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Sure. Interesting topics here. Another thought on my mind is, I was feeling kind of bad for our high school seniors right now. In general, just what an amazing time in life to be a student, and suddenly right now that's being taken away from so many kids. Here in Michigan, our golf season, if I'm not mistaken, actually began earlier in March.
Yeah.
It's played right through the spring with the state championships taking place in early June. Remains to be seen what's going to happen there. So for you guys, like, how is this going to affect a player who's, potentially trying to play for some college scholarship money, and who's not going to have an opportunity to post numbers in tournament play during his senior year? What do you guys think about that?
Beatport?
I think I think my maturity level and what I identified as, and at a senior in college specifically, and senior in high school, is it would have devastated me for them to shut it down. I played with guys, and there's plenty of people out there that didn't play until they were a senior. They worked their whole way up until that last year and put a ton of work in, and it would have devastated me to shut that down with any sport. I think golf is a little bit easier because there's ways to individually go out and display your talent, whether it's in tournaments or, we don't know when this is going to shut down, but you can do that prior to the college golf season. As a team sport, you're a baseball player or, some of the other spring sports, you basically lose this year. There's potentially going to be summer activity, but I don't know what the alternative is. I don't think you can let them come back, but I know, as my wife's a teacher and there's plenty of our friends that are teachers, it's going to be tough for people to just pick up next year, one class ahead. Seniors move to freshmen, juniors move to seniors. There's a lot of people that are not going to retain what they learned from September to, March. And it's going to be really difficult on teachers and difficult on students to make that transition, but I don't know what the alternative is.
Yeah, I don't think there is. And I know a lot of my students are really bummed. Golf students who are seniors this year. Some of them have already college scholarships, but some of them, like you said before, they were kind of teetering on that, and they were expecting to have a good showing their senior year as what might push them over the edge, to show that college coach, I'm right for your team. I thought wasn't it Steph Curry that had a good NCAA tournament at Davidson?
Oh, yeah. He averaged like 30
I think
points.
Yeah, and I think that got him a ton of attention. And so I was even thinking about college players, not necessarily in golf, but in other sports that we're looking forward to, that kind of a story going.
Yeah, John Morant had the same thing last year.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the NCAA tournament for hoops is like major showcase. Yeah, especially for those guys who maybe weren't a 5-star recruit coming out of high school and haven't been showcased on nationally televised games throughout the season. Suddenly, it's like, yeah, Steph Curry, small school like Davidson, phenomenal talent, but certainly undersized, under-athleticized, and came out in the NCAA tournament and just blew up the country. So, yeah.
I got a question for you, B-Rob, and then Cam. B-Rob, go first. What's the difference between a 5 or a 6 handicap and a scratch golfer?
Yeah, that's for me first.
Yep.
Well, all right. So I've got I got 2 answers. The first answer is going to be what I think. This is the answer that the better players give. Okay, so I already know what Cam's going to say. This is what they all say. They all say the same thing. They say it's short game. It's short game. It's inside 100 yards, and then even the pinnacle of short game is putting.
There's plenty of 5s that have a really good short game that makes them a 5.
Yeah,
that ain't me. But
yeah, I mean, okay. So yeah, so I this is my answer though. So again, I think that the answer that's going to be given by most of the elite scratch level players is going to be short game is the distinction. For me personally, I think it's getting the ball in the fairway, off the tee. I lose strokes off the tee. And so I sort of started to notice the correlation. If I'm in the fairway, my odds of even making a par or better are dramatically up. Even just having the ball in play, but in the rough, my odds go down big time. So that's my take.
I think it's a good take, and I think that you're right that most really good instructors are going to tell you that short game, inside 100 yards. It's absolutely right. I will add to that, however, that there's a mental component and believing that you can do it. So, for instance, I coached college golf for 3 years. I would line these guys up on the range, right? And I watch, if you took anybody, any 5 or 6 handicap and let them walk by and watch these guys swing, go, oh my goodness, they're all scratch golfers, right? Well, I saw that wasn't the case, right? Wasn't their swing, but it was literally them thinking and believing that they knew they could do it. So I have a lot of students that fall into that category. They're maybe 6 to 10 handicaps. They could be way better if they thought differently. So let me give you an example. Probably 10 years ago is when I really started getting into more golf psychology, reading a lot more, a lot of different sports psychologists. Dr. Bob Rotella was one of my favorites, still is. And it was at that point that, and I'm just using myself as an example for a minute, that really helped me go to another level. When I started thinking about golf in a different way, and I won't bore you with all the different things about what he talks about, but I will say one thing that always sticks out to me is that he's quoted as saying this, is that you want to have a cocky swing, hold on, let me think about that. He says, no, you want to have a conservative strategy with a cocky swing. So it was just a way of that I took that as play the high percentage shot. And I still see so many people that don't do that. And it costs them a lot of strokes. So that's kind of my opinion on what really gets that person over that edge to that next level.
Mental approach.
Yeah.
You think most guys out there hit a cut or hit a draw? The good guys. Because you changed it up recently, didn't you?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
B-Rob's baby draw since day one. B-Rob's never hit a cut in his life.
He does hit a soft baby draw.
Not by choice. I wouldn't mind hitting a cut, but it's all that comes out is just draw after draw.
Yeah. I think if you naturally have a draw, you play a draw, whatever your natural thing is. But I think for most people, they would say it'd be easier to hit a fade. I mean, let's face it, most people that we see on a daily basis, they start out by slicing the golf ball, right? So, someone who slices the golf ball, I'm trying to get them to hook it. So you got one extreme over here, one extreme over here. Eventually, you bring them back to the middle. But you look at a lot of the tour guys now, especially with Shot Tracer that you watch on TV. A ton of them play fades. But
that's what I've been noticing. So they have the ability to shape the ball, and they choose to hit a fade because you think it's more controllable.
Yeah,
not about distance.
Well, no, but I think with today's equipment and technology, with the golf ball, with the drivers, that you can still get as much distance out of a fade. And I'm not talking about a slice. I'm talking about a fade that you can still hit the golf ball a long way. So I know for me that when I'm able to, play a cut, I feel like I can go after it harder. I'm going to create more swing speed. I'm going to hit the ball further. Not as far as you, Port, but not everybody can have muscle.
I learned my lesson in 2011. I'll never forget.
Listen, from a course management and strategy point of view, golf courses are not designed to be played from the left. There's a reason why Ben Hogan had to get that hook out of his swing. There's a reason why Tiger Woods changed from playing a draw to playing a fade. And that's because the people who play a fade effectively ultimately score better. Again, at that level, which I know very little about. So this is what I hear and what I understand. But yes, you can't, there is death on the left side of golf courses. And it's the way that courses are typically laid out and the way that holes are shaped. And so that's my understanding.
Yeah. Lee Trevino, I think, was quoted as saying you can talk to a fade, but a hook isn't going to listen. So, and that goes to your point earlier, Brian, of what you're talking about with the driver, how important that club is. Ben Hogan thought that was the most important club in the bag.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's up there because you can't score unless you can keep the ball in play. So even if that means someone has to sacrifice 20 yards to keep the ball in play, and I'm not talking about the fairway every time, but to keep it in play, extremely important.
Yeah. So I got a question for you, Cam.
Yeah.
On the topic of sort of game improvement, I got a couple thoughts, but the first question I got for you is, how big of a role does fitness play in distance, or is contact still king?
That's a really good question. I think that fitness is huge. I mean, you see these guys hit it as far as they do today because they're strong, they're flexible, their core's strong, stability, mobility, all these things, right? Which you can go down a whole nother rabbit hole with that. But I think that fitness is huge. So, for instance, you get on TrackMan, and you got two players, one that's swinging at 90 and the other one swinging at 115, okay? The person that's swinging at 115 has a greater chance of hitting the ball further. Now, let's back up a second. You take two players that are swinging at 90. Obviously, the one who has better angles and better contact is going to hit it way further. So I tell people that club head speed is potential energy. It's potential energy. You have the ability to potentially hit it further. But I've also seen people that can swing at, 110 to 115. They can't hit it that far because they're hitting their attack angles down 4 degrees. They're hitting it on top of the face. Contact's not good. They're spinning it off the planet. So it's a tough question. I think you kind of got to look at it as fitness creates the ability to potentially create more club head speed, which is important to hit the ball far. But for most average golfers, if they focused more on contact, they'd do better. Because most people that I know aren't going to just all of a sudden become super fit in a golf sense, in 6 months. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, I think you're the poster boy for contact in all my experience. with playing,
that was passive aggressive, B-Rob.
It was.
Anything but. I mean, look at you. You're someone who's in reasonably good, physical fitness.
Reasonably? Oh my goodness.
Let's be realistic.
My God, come on.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, so he's seen me eat Doritos. Okay.
I mean, yeah. So like you're strong, but I've never known you to be someone who's like a gym rat. In terms, like, hey, I'm really working on my fitness, and so, and yet that ball comes out of the center of the club at an alarming consistency. And it just jumps off your club. And so it feels to me like I would guess. So, I mean, this is getting kind of geeky and technical. So I'm curious to know when you see your own numbers in a TrackMan on a driver, okay? Yeah. I would guess that your smash factor is routinely like 1.48. Yeah. If not, I mean, like I would be surprised if you don't see 1.5 regularly. Tell me, is that accurate or not?
Well, now you just feel like you're making me, brag or something.
Brag.
Yeah, brag? 148 to 150 is pretty accurate, I would say, with the driver.
So just put that into perspective here for anyone else who might be, just bring people in. So theoretically, the idea with TrackMan is smash factor measures the quality of contact. So you're talking about squareness of club face along with attack angle. Yeah. Correct me on that if I'm wrong, but the idea is that 1.5 is like the theoretical best it's going to get. So when you talk 1.48 to 1.5, you are basically puring it?
Yeah, it's essentially a factor between clubhead the factor between clubhead speed and ball speed, right? So it's the efficiency of the hit. I think it's clubhead speed divided by ball speed or vice versa. So clubhead speed. You look at a tour player like a Rory McIlroy, right? He's a super long hitter. Most people don't realize how fast he can swing a golf club. He can swing that golf club at over 120 miles per hour. I've never swung it faster than 120. I've swung it one time at 120, throwing both cheeks into it as hard as I possibly can, all warmed up, out of control. Normal on-course swing, 110 to 112. Okay. So you look at somebody like Rory, who can swing it at 125 miles an hour and gets that smash factor 1.5, you're talking about ball speeds that are, surpassing 180. To put that into perspective, for like long drive guys, those guys can get their ball speed up to about 200, but they're also using different types of equipment. But yes, you can do the math pretty easy and just do 100 miles per hour. I've seen a lot of people that can swing at about 100 miles an hour. That 1.5 smash factor that you're talking about, right? It's about 150 mile per hour ball speed. So that, along with proper spin rates and launch angles, is what's going to create that longest maximum carry and total distance that you can get.
Mm-hmm. So you recently had the West Michigan Golf Show here in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
And you did a nice interview with Nick Carlson.
Yeah.
Which you've actually put on your YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So anybody who might listen to this, go to Jeff's YouTube channel, check that out.
We'll put it in the show notes.
There it is. I thought there was some neat stuff that kind of came out of that, especially Nick kind of talking about, I enjoyed like his, learning the game, childhood, his practice, that kind of thing was interesting to me. But take someone like that. Now, he's not a big guy, but he's someone who is very concentrated on his physical fitness right now. And who also has, obviously, so Nick is a U of M graduate and a fine player. So obviously has a great golf swing. What did you see? What do you see with Nick as far as swing speed, smash factor? I don't know if you can share that with us, but I'd be curious.
Yeah, his club head speed would be routinely between like 113 and 116.
Okay.
So that's moving it. To put that into perspective, the average on the PGA Tour is 112. Maybe it's 113. So it's fast. And you're right, he's not a big guy. I mean, he's maybe 5'7", 5 on a good day.
So like a Rory, actually.
Yeah, he's not a big guy, but he puts a lot of torque into it. Yeah, Rory. Rory's maybe 5'11". No, I think he's like 5'9".
Really?
I'm gonna have to look that one up. Yeah.
Keep rolling.
But Nick is, for his size, pound for pound, he moves it big time. So he hit one. I will say this: he hit one on TrackMan. I saw him, and this was him trying to go after. I think he swung at like 118. He hit it like 330. So right in Port's range. So it's crazy. Yeah. All I could think about was Black Port and his old Titleist driver. Still hitting it that far. So
905. Hey, I'm a driver. I'm a driver wedge that gets me to 330.
All right, let's get down to some brass tacks here. Game improvement question.
Do it.
So a couple years ago, I tried to look this up. I couldn't find it, so I have to you guys got to take my word for it. But the USGA, you might even remember this. USGA came out with some data, or maybe it was the RNA, but it was one of these official kind of governing bodies. They came out with some information that said that after you have played golf for, it was something like 2.5 years. Okay, there's a certain length of time that was defined. They basically said, you're not going to get any better. Yeah, I know, devastating, right? Certainly not what PGA of America wants to be selling.
Yeah.
But It wasn't obviously like a subjective piece to
It's
discourage.
not what golf coaches want to be selling either.
No, not so much.
I think it was data driven though. I think that was kind of the idea. Is that
You're killing Cam on this podcast, B-Rob.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You got him twice now.
yes.
Yeah.
So good.
So it's like, I mean, is that like they're looking at data and they're like,
Yeah.
look, we're seeing these players, handicaps are just not dropping after guys have played this game for a while.
Yeah.
Speak to that as someone who's been coaching for, a long time. What's the scoop on game improvement for real?
That is good.
Well, that's a really good question. I haven't seen the data of exactly who maybe they interviewed and whatnot. Sometimes I get a little skeptical on that, of exactly how that data comes up with. But I would say this. I would definitely say that I see a lot of people that have been playing golf for a long time and they don't get a whole lot better. So the question is why? Like what? Yeah, like that guy. So I think the issue is not because they've been playing for so long, but it's how people go about practicing, right? So I think what is a problem in our industry, in the teaching industry, is we still have to keep getting better at helping people with feedback, and technology keeps getting better for that. But people aren't practicing with a purpose. I still see every day, I'm up on that lesson tee and I just line them up, and you see people down there with the first club they pull out of their bag, driver, start wailing away at that thing, right? And they go through and they say, I got to hit a quota of golf balls. Well, I practiced today, right? Yeah, but what did you practice? What did you get better at? What were you working on? And that's huge. I think if, and I'm not just trying to pump golf instruction, but you have to have a roadmap of what you're trying to do. Getting certain data, for instance. Like I played 18 holes. I've played 5 18-hole rounds. How many times did I lose the ball out of play with my driver? How many greens in regulation did I hit? How many putts per green in regulation did I hit? Finding strengths, finding weaknesses. What do I have to work on? People don't do that. They don't do that enough. I don't feel like they're disciplined enough to do that. The other thing that I've run into is that you see people, they say, well, I'm going to take some lessons, right? All right, so you go take some lessons, and and I certainly won't name any names. No, I'm just kidding. I won't name any names, but I'll get a student that'll take a lesson, and we have some very specific things that I've given them to work on, right? And then they come back 2 weeks later and said, okay, how'd your practice go? Yeah, I didn't really practice. Crickets. I mean, where do you go from there? So I think there's a number of different reasons why people don't get better. Those are just a couple different examples, but someone asked me this before, okay, and I thought this was a really good question. It was a very honest question. They said, do you think that you have to become a major student of the game, slightly obsessed with this game, to get really good at it? And I said, yeah, I do. I said, anybody that's really good, at some point in their life, they've probably been borderline an addict. So you do have to have the passion for it. There's no question. And that's not something obviously that you teach.
Yeah. Let's do some rapid fire. I got a couple quick thoughts. First, the one on the fitness and the contact conversation. There's a big difference in terms of sustainability. So I'm talking about the tour versus the rest of us. In terms of fitness, there's a big difference between a guy rolling up to a club with a sixer, getting into the cart and playing 18 holes with his buddies, and a guy walking 10 miles 4 times every weekend and playing golf at a high level. You have to be in very good shape to pull that off, in my opinion. To walk those amount of miles, to play that amount of golf, nutritionally, just fitness wise, you got to have the game's got to be pretty tight. You know what I mean? In order to pull that off. I got a couple rapid fire questions that I just want to get both of your guys' thoughts on. I got to think of what they were. What are some of the misconceptions you see that make you laugh about golf often? One of mine is because I laugh at myself, and I laugh at kind of, you know, our friends just in a healthy way. There's a really big difference of playing your own club, you know, your own golf club, whether it's a private club or a public course that you play all the time. There's a really big difference in what your handicap is at that course.
Yeah.
And then if you just get taken to any other course that you haven't played and they drop you on the blue tee box, there's a huge difference between those two. And I'm sure there's some sort of slope rating or handicap rating that factors that in, but I think there's a lot of people that wear it like a badge of honor, their handicap, their index. And there's got to be times, Cam, where you're just like, dude, you wouldn't break 90. You're a 5 and you wouldn't break 90 at half the courses that you haven't played in West Michigan.
I mean,
definitely. I'll be real quick with this, and then Rob, I want to hear yours. I think you know, that's why they call it a universal index, and that's your handicap from your home course that you can plug into any course. And I think a lot of people probably aren't aware of that. There's a number of people that, along with that, think that they hit the ball way further than they do too.
There's a lot of 300-yard drives that go 275. I've seen a bunch of those. I've seen a bunch of those.
Yeah, you'll get this sometimes. You know, is this machine, is this accurate? You know, I normally see
267 on the screws.
On the screws, yeah. I think it was Tiger Woods back in when they were playing the U.S. Open at Oakmont, and I can't remember. I think he said something like the average 10 handicap here wouldn't break 100 or something like that. It was something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but it was him kind of talking to that on that topic too.
Wow. I remember reading an article some time ago, quite a while ago. Butch Harmon was in it, and he's like, you know, he gets asked all the time by parents, you know, basically, does, you know, little Johnny have what it takes, right, to be a pro? And he's like, you know, there is a monster difference between being scratch at your club and actually just being an amateur scratch player who can pick up and go from course to course, like you were saying, Kyle. So what Butch Harmon was saying is, he's like, to put into perspective, these guys who would be considered, you know, straight up amateur scratch at their home club on a reasonably regular basis, they're shooting in the mid 60s.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah. You know, I think Bobby Jones was quoted as saying there's golf and then there's tournament golf, and that's a whole nother level too, you know, where people wonder sometimes, you know, do I have what it takes to get there? And like I said, if it's one thing to go out with your buddies and shoot a 68 at your home course that you know like the back of your hand, and then go to a longer, harder, much more difficult golf course with a higher slope and rating that you've never seen before, and play with a lot on the line. You know, ask Matt Harmon, you know, local pro around here, who had a successful career at Michigan State and did well. He was out on the web.com tour for a long time. I've had some interesting conversations with Matt before, and he'll tell you the same thing. It's just, it's tough. So.
Yeah. I want to answer your question though, KB. I want to throw something on to your rapid fire.
Do it. Are you holding that pose, or did your internet just get unplugged? Uh-oh.
No.
We might have lost. There we go. He's back.
There he is.
Was that me? I was gone?
Yeah, it just, you froze up.
I'm sorry.
It's a nice frame shot
my
of you,
connection's
Yeah.
unstable. So I grew up playing no golf, all right, in my childhood. And so you talk about misconceptions that people might have about golf. Two of them. First misconception is that people at country clubs are stuck up and snooty. I don't know if that's true of other clubs. I know that here at Railside, it has not been the truth. So that's kind of dash that out of the water. The other thing, though, the other one that's actually funnier is the misconception that people at country clubs are good golfers. From the truth. One of the very first things I recognized, you kind of step out and you're like, you know, intimidated, right? You see guys out there, like, wow, they've been at a club, and it's like, most guys out here stink.
My,
You know,
my
it's like,
favorite golf,
honestly.
my favorite golf line of the last 2 years was at X Golf last year, March Madness. Ken Viss hoselled his 7th straight ball into the side of the net, and then just yelled at the top of his lungs, "I am a member of a country club."
Oh, that's priceless.
All right. So, yes or no question on this one, Cam. If someone lost their job, they had unlimited resources, they had all access to you, and they were a 10 handicap. Do
Yeah.
you think after a course of a year or two, you could get them down to a scratch?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. You know, I mean, it's
I quit.
yeah,
I'm out.
He's done.
See you tomorrow
Put in
morning.
your 2 weeks notice. Let's go. Let's get this done. You know, one of the things that would be that I want to be able to do more, and I'm going to try to get into a little bit more, is that you got these different pieces of the pie, right? When it comes to golf improvement, and one of the pieces of the pie is the golf swing. But to be able to take a player unlimited out on a golf course and talk through and walk through different situation after situation after situation, how they think, how they play, what club they're using is just priceless. And I'll be the first one to admit that, you know, I don't do enough of that. And I don't think our industry does quite enough of that. I love technology. I'm all about technology, and I'm all about the golf swing. But there's definitely that component of being able to take somebody out on the golf course and really helping them understand the finite intangibles of the game. That's so important. So yeah, if it was unlimited time, heck yeah, we could do it.
I love it.
You're going to be the first case study. You just
All
quit
right.
your job, so.
This might take some brainstorming, but let's give a little shout out to Railside. Give them some time. What's the hardest?
Yeah.
What's your favorite shot at Railside, and what's the most difficult shot at Railside? And then I want to take it a step further. Locally in West Michigan, what are some of your favorite holes, favorite shots, most difficult shots, that type of stuff locally in West Michigan?
I would start
Both of you
at
guys.
rail. Yeah, I would start at Railside with number 5 off the tee. I just think that is.
We play the
most
whites. It's not that hard. You just bang it over the wall.
Well, if you can hit
From
it
the
as far
blues.
as UKB, from the blues, I think that is the most intimidating shot on that golf course. I mean, you can't miss it right, you can't miss it left. I've tried both.
You think in West
Both.
Michigan in general, that's one of the tougher tee shots?
It might very well be. Yeah. There's just no place to miss.
Especially when they let it grow later in the year on the left.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, B-Rob?
Yeah, that's certainly, obviously I was like, you know, the tee box at Railside plays a major factor. So yeah, hole 5 from the blue, no place to miss, super narrow. But it also brings to mind here how subjective this is to what your specific misses are. You know, I mean, for me, you know, I've been having fits on the second shot on 15. You know, I can't reliably I can get off the tee, and then I can't reliably get to the green. I drop a lot of shots there. And then also the tee ball on 11, you know, B to the left, water to the right. You know, that's sort of, there's been a few shots out here that have plagued me and just sort of tallied up, you know, easily 4 strokes on my card. You know,
you can get pretty beat up by the time you're at 11 too. I call it the gauntlet of 9, 10, 11, 12. And by the time you get to the tee box on 11, you're coming with at least a 5 or 6 on the card on 10. You're frustrated. And then it looks like you're just staring down the corridor of 11. It's actually pretty wide open, but it doesn't look like that on the tee box. It looks like you can't miss it either direction.
Right.
Yeah, and how about if you want to talk about playing from the back tees? How about the tee shot on the par 312 up the hill? I mean,
Ooh,
That's a
I'm,
soft
that's a
driver.
toughie.
yeah, I mean it's with the angle that the ball's coming into that green at. I mean, if you
Yeah.
got such a a low, you're maybe you're a long ball hitter and you're able to hit a 4-iron from 210. That's pretty big.
I got to tell you guys that there is a gentleman there that made a hole-in-one on that hole with his driver.
Yes. Who was
Can
it?
you imagine the way that would look?
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for 13, though. After that gauntlet, like you said, thank goodness for 13.
Yep.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. I want to know, from a status of where you guys picked up the game, at what age, and what part of the game that you have found to be the hardest to improve, and why? Why do you think maybe you get stuck there? I'd love to hear that from you guys.
Go ahead, KB.
I think without a doubt it's putting. Putting is kind of like free throws in terms of you should be able to master that stroke. You should be able to come up with some sort of strategy that keeps the variables minimal. But yet I feel like I have a different putting stroke every time I hit the ball. And if I make my first putt, I get confidence and I can consistently, hit that block putt or hit the same wrong putt, but at least it's consistently. But if I miss the first putt, I'm basically sorting it out every hole. I'm trying to figure out, is this going to come off right? Is it going to come off left? I feel like for me, it's putting. I've told you both this joke. I would love to be the guy that's 72 years old, looks like he just swallowed his TV, got a little beer belly, and just nobody can beat him. Nobody can beat him because he just puts the lights out. He just reaches in and just grabs your heart with another 17-footer to save par.
Yeah.
And you two putted from 8 feet after striping it. And you had an 8-footer for birdie, and that's another push. I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy so bad.
That's so true. Here's a quick stat for you that might help you, KB, with your mental process of putting. What would you guess is the average make percentage for a PGA Tour player from 10 feet? There's a rapid fire for you.
I would guess it's around 50%.
Rob, any guesses?
Yeah, I'd say 50%.
You both are too high.
Wow.
Really?
40%.
No kidding.
And you probably thought you were guessing a little bit low.
Yeah, I did. If I had to lean
conservative,
I was a little low. Mm-hmm.
Brent Voorhees is 75% from 10 feet. Playing me. Cam, you're in the high 80s. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're playing different lanes.
Wow. Putting is tough because you have so many variables, like you said. Even if you made your stroke perfect, right? If you made your stroke absolutely foolproof, you've still got speed to deal with. You got to read the green. You play in a scramble, and one guy says, "I think it's a cup right," another guy says it's a cup and a half. Well, you could both be right, but it would just depend on the speed, right? And then not to mention all the other variables and imperfections in the green. People don't even understand that wind can have a factor on their stroke, or even their on the golf ball on its way to the hole. But I know what you're saying. You'd think that why has this got to be so difficult? Why can't I master this? But there's just so many variables with it.
Can you get some putting training videos released for the love?
Yeah, I'll get some more.
You got some time? You got a little putting mat in your basement?
Yeah, right. Watch this. Ready?
Yeah. See, I want some putting videos. Before we get B-Rob's answer to that question, I just want to bring up the slice putter. You're in a scramble. Guy that goes first hits a slice putt, but you don't realize it until after 9 holes. You know who I'm talking about? The guy who literally slices the ball. And you swear you had the right read, but he just keeps hitting this fade putt. and then you hit the line and it goes 3 feet to the left of where you read it.
There you go.
That's the slice putter. I love that, dude.
Slice
Real
putter.
quick follow-up on you, Port. When did you start playing golf? I mean, so a little context, you're about a 5 handicap right now. You were a college baseball player.
Yeah.
When did you pick up a golf club and actually start playing?
I didn't really play legitimately for probably till after college. So 23, 24 years old. And then I played consistently, but just, like you guys do, just not like Cam, but like we do with our buddies, play a couple times in league, things like that. But I didn't want it to jeopardize. It's kind of like basketball players don't want to go skiing. They want to protect their knees. My identity was as a baseball player when I was growing up, and I wanted to play professionally, and I never wanted to jeopardize my swing, even though I think it doesn't really have that big of a difference. It doesn't have a big impact on that. So I didn't start playing until after the college.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a baseball
Brooks
player?
Koepka. He was big
Really?
baseball player.
Huh.
Yeah, Jordan Spieth, good too. Both really good baseball players.
Yeah, Koepka wanted to play Major League Baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I didn't know that.
I think I want to say his grandpa was a Major League Baseball player, if I'm thinking right. And
I think you're right.
I said he wasn't going to make it there. And, actually, Gary Woodland has a similar story, too. He was a college basketball player, wanted to be an NBA player, realized that wasn't going to happen, picked up golf kind of on the fly is what he makes it sound like. Don't know if that's really true or not. And he is who he is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, B-Rob? What do you think is the hardest part for you that you've had a harder time improving on over the years? Because you're diligent you're a diligent practicer.
Yeah, I love the game. I mean, for me, the game is more like a puzzle. The swing is part of the game. It's not just going out and playing. So I like all of it. It's kind of a stress reliever for me. I didn't start playing until after college. I literally didn't play growing up. Maybe on one hand, I could count the number of 9-hole rounds before college. Certainly didn't own any clubs. So yeah, kind of sometime I'd say like late 20s, start getting interested in the game. And as far as what I struggle with, I think that's the most frustrating thing about golf for me is that there are a couple things that I have going on in my swing that I just can't seem to get out of there. I can't seem to correct them. And it's a really frustrating part of golf. I applaud anybody who quits this game. I really do. No joke. I will buy you a drink if you're willing to quit the game of golf. that goes out there to the world. And I've only known that one person. I know one person who did it. Walked away. It was my brother, and his clubs are still in my basement. And now he lives in Seattle. Man. I absolutely love him for it. It's because this game is sometimes it is a wonderful game, and sometimes it is nothing less than a disease. And so it's just like why can't I do this? I know what I'm trying to do, and then physically the body or the mind does something different. I think I think a lot of that comes back to I don't think that I can't conceptualize what needs to happen. I think what happens is I have the wrong ideas in my mind of what needs to happen or how the body needs to go about doing something. And until I can understand until I can understand what the right task is, the club is going to keep doing the same wrong things.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point because a lot of people, and I know you, Brian, have really gotten into the golf swing, and you are a student of the game, and you have really worked hard on your swing, and there can be a lot of different thoughts and ideas of what the right thing to do is, the right way to swing a golf club. And golfers still need to keep at the root heart of their improvement, what the ball is doing, right? What is their weaknesses? What is their miss? What is their miss? And if you can start to control and get better at your miss, whether it's a hook, slice, whatever, there's a lot of different ways to do it in this game. There's a lot of different ways to swing the golf club, and you got to keep that in the back of your mind as you're still on the process and the journey of trying to improve.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I've never found, what is that Legend of Bagger Vance, that line, what is it? Your one true swing. Don't they use that? Then they use that line.
Yeah. Something like that.
Don't think I've necessarily found mine. So, but I totally agree with you that there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat. And I think, if you kind of find your thing that you can repeat consistently and make good contact. But I'm kind of in search of that still.
Yeah, we all are. I would say this is my cliche. I've made this my cliche, is that golf has no finish line. It just has no finish line. Now, I don't know if I'm the first one to say that, but I'd like to think that I am.
I like it.
But yeah, you just don't ever get there. The journey just never ends. And never one round that you play, you're like, yeah, couldn't have done any better. That was perfect. Doesn't exist.
Well, this has been awesome. We're going to try to keep it to like 40 minutes. We've gone a little over that. If the spirit moves us, we can do this again. I've really enjoyed this. Today was my pop's birthday, so I try to do something different each time.
Cool.
And this was fun. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Who knows if we'll chop it up and throw some of it out there, but I'm excited to keep talking about this, whether we record it or not.
Yeah.
I can't wait to become a scratch. I just got to tell Tonsky that it's game over. I'm shut down at work, and see you in, I don't know, April of 2021.
Yeah. I love it. This has been a lot of fun. I love hearing from both you guys, because I know that you both have been students of the game, have a passion for the game, want to get better, love golf, and it's fun to listen to your different ideas of how to get better, and I just love having these talks. Just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Port. Thanks, Port. Drano.
Yeah, buddy. Cam, where can we get your stuff? Instagram, you gotta check me out on there. I try to post stuff on there almost daily. And I am still working on YouTube. I'm getting some more stuff out there as well. So I'd like to pick up the pace on that a little bit too, but I got some videos coming out on YouTube. It's at Caminiti Golf. Go subscribe, like, all the necessary. Perfect.
Do that. So thanks so much.
All right, brother. Peace.
All righty. See you guys.